Hello, welcome back to... Oh, where's my... Where is it? Is it here? No? What? Oh. Ah, there it is. Ah, weird stuff going on today. Alright. Hello, welcome back to ABI-DOS. Last episode, we started working on Floodfall Simulator and it was kind of a challenge. But I did think about it for a while today and I might have a couple ideas. Not ideas in general, but like, I thought about some things. So I think I'm gonna just start from scratch. So yeah, let's just open a new save here. A lot of the ideas we can actually bring over from the previous slot. However, a couple things I want to do first is, well, firstly, I just want to talk about how I'm going to do this. What I did in the previous slot, or in last episode, was I built multiple machines at once and I sort of linked them together. So I kind of built it step by step, as in like based on what the machine wants me to do, I built a component that does it. And then the more things the machine wants me to do, the more components I build. And like that sort of accumulates over time. So if I'm lucky, you'll get a pretty good you get a pretty good small machine that works in a small area. But if I'm unlucky, that machine needs to get bigger and bigger every time a new step is involved. However, I think I'm going to try a new method of working on this now. I'm going to build the machines separately. So based on... So it's sort of more like a circuit board this time, right? Where as opposed to building things as they're needed, I sort of build different machines with functions, and then I sort of link each function together to create the desired result. It sounds a bit like it's still what I initially did, but as you can see in my initial slot, you sort of get these three separate machines here. You get one that actually gives you the output, one that does the testing, and one that handles the input. So well, it's more like an output, an input, and a control. So this time I want to build those separately and then link them together afterwards. I would say that the advantage of that is that you, after building each machine manually and handling that inner circuitry, you can just move each of them around, flip it, reverse it, rotate it, however you need, so it all fits into a particular space. Whereas if you start linking linking the components together really early on, you're gonna have to like fix the wiring as well, which is just a lot more work. So, I wonder if I've ever called any episode circuitry before. I feel like I have. I feel like I have called a particular episode circuitry before, or at least somewhat alluded to it. Alright, so secondly, my second idea, or the second thought I had, was sort of how to build the testing machine. So as I said, the three components we need are input, output, testing. Input, output, control. The output we can build at the end, because the output we kind of already resolved it in the first slot, so we already knew what to do. The difficulty comes in building the input handler and how it's going to interact with the control panel or the control. So we know that at every single point in here, there must be a test downwards. So there must always be a test downwards, and therefore, well, it's really hard to say. You sort of have to think about how your output is going to work, right? But a test downwards will basically give you the output of whatever's below it, and whatever's below it will either be a 0 or a 170. So in reality, we can actually just do a test for downwards right now. And what I want to do is, if a downward fails, there's going to be another output testing left or right. And that output should not activate the downward test ever again. So let's presume that this downward test, if passing, will immediately activate the output to send out something. Because if the down test tests for a positive, you know that it won't move left or right, no matter what is on the walls beside it. So it will immediately output a rightward, a downward moving bit in the output section. However, if it does fail, so if there is a wall below it, you must then transition to a left or right tester, and that we cannot pass through the downward tester again because you're not testing for downwards anymore. The new object coming out from here has to be separated even before that, which is why I left a space here. I think we did talk about that last episode. I just didn't manage to make it work out. But this is how it happens. If you happen to not get a 0, for example, then this should activate. So in reality, this should be a non-zero tester. a non-zero tester will activate this. And that brings me to my point. If this is a non-zero tester, how am I going to use this to activate this if this happens to be equal to 0, or if this passes this? And like, my initial idea was to build another branch out that will activate and send it to a B sensor, which then links it to the output. But that's actually not required. You can always just have a sensor for the opposite. So, this checks for a failure. If you want to check something for a pass, you basically just do the opposite. And you don't have to send it out into... You don't have to basically use a NOT gate. So like, splitting it off into a B section is basically considering it as a NOT gate for a pass. A pass sending into a fail is a NOT gate. But you can always just simply bring out the tester for the opposite, and that will automatically be a failure. So if it fails this, it will definitely pass this, because these are completely... how do you say this? There's a set theory term for it. But these two are... they're mutually exclusive, but their union also fills up the entire space. Which means that any element is going to pass one of these and fail the other. Definitely. Yeah, it's either going to be equal to 0 or not equal to 0. Like, it's in simple terms. Anyway, yeah. So if I want this to, say, link to an A sensor, if I want this to link to an A sensor, I just have the B sensor for the opposite. Simple enough. So A state for positive, B state for negative is the same thing. Anyway, so yeah. After thinking about it a little more, I also thought about how to work on the bottom one. The bottom one kind of needs to be an alternator for two separate things. It has to be an alternator for left or right. But once it alternates to a left or right, it should basically forever just flip it. So let's say it tests for right currently. This is the right tester, and this will be the left tester. We'll put these markers here to sort of... how about I put a conveyor so we don't get confused. So these two will indicate to us what this channel is testing for specifically. Actually, that's kind of something I wanted to talk about as well. Can I add nodes to this? I can't, right? Yeah. Can't really add nodes to this. I wish I could. I feel like there isn't actually any system to write nodes. I wish I could, you know, like click on a cell and then put a note onto it. I don't think there ever is. There's no hotkey for it, right? I don't think it's anywhere in the tutorial as well. If I could put a note here, because right, this episode is definitely going to come after Leaf's Odyssey. What that game did is that you can sort of assign a note or an icon to a certain cell or a certain object in the game, and you can write notes, which I kind of really would like. I think I Want a Lockpick also does that system where you can add a little note somewhere. So I really, really wish you could do that, but right now I guess not. It will allow me to show my ideas off a lot easier. Anyway, so yeah, this guy is testing for right. It initially has to test for right. So if this happens to fail, the next bit coming in will be tested for the right direction, the rightward direction. And so what this should do is that, well, this bit coming out is whatever is on the right of the current cursor. So we have another 0 sensor here. We want to basically do the exact same thing as this. So we want a non-zero to activate this. If it happens to fail this, or if it happens to actually be non-zero, i.e. a wall, it can set this to be false, and the next thing coming in will be automatically set to the left sensor. But I want to do the opposite as well. If the left sensor fails, then it should set back to the original, right? Which actually therefore means that, again, if I want to set this to an A state, a passing of this would set it to a B state originally, right? Therefore, a failing of this would set this back to the A state. If I want to make a passing, or if I want to make a failure switch this, and I want to switch it back to state A, it should be a pass. Meaning that, just in simple terms, instead of having a failure affect this, it should be a pass that affects this. Another way you can think about it is anything going down here already has this at state B, like this. If it is a wall, then this should be activated. If it is a... No. Well... Yes. If it is a wall, then this will fail. This will be reset to state A. There you go. And therefore the state A, which is the active state, will then send it back to the rightward direction. So yeah, I just want to do the opposite of whatever I did here. I think we kind of covered this in alternator, or something rather similar, just not in a very concise manner. But now I am specifically stating how I'm getting this to work. So yeah, if right, so this is basically all our machine is going to do. So alright, let's say we do this, we do this. So you can see this forms an alternator type of thing, right? It fails this. So the next thing coming out, which would be this one, will come down here, will go through here, and this would also fail, which would mean that this thing will come down. It will of course also fail because it's just another wall in the same direction, and then it would just keep doing this and doing this and doing this over and over again. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do. Now, of course, each of these sensors, or whatever comes after these paths, must also activate something in the output to cause the output to do something. But we can deal with that later. Right now, I also want these things to sort of activate the control panels. I believe it should be possible to have these guys all be really concise into 3 lanes that are just parallel. You get the exact same result either way. In fact, oh, never mind. I was gonna say, in fact, that single bit just shows all 3 of these. Anyway, yeah. Another final thing to note is that this guy over here does have to reset every single bit. So there must be an A sensor that sets this back to inactive at the end of every single output. Because the test going forward, the downward tester, must always occur. As we know that every single output here must be followed by a downward tester for the next one. Yeah. If it passes, downward detector stays. If it fails, downward detector switches, and then you go down to the left-right tester. So as for that left-right tester, that will be port Y. It will be triggered by anything in here, really. So anything triggered here. This will initially start off testing downwards. So we already know a downward test goes like this. It goes down 1. It calls out an output. It will have to go backwards. So this output caller basically pushes the pointer 1 to the right. So this must point 1 to the left and then go back up. So this is your downward tester. So like, let's just say for this let's just activate this first. So this will send out 170. It will activate this. So this is a downward tester. It goes down by 1. It gives you the output for that, which is a 0. And then it will go back up and put you back in the original spot. So it starts off at position 1. The tester goes down. Yeah, then goes back up and sends it back to position 1. Okay. If this fails, however, we sort of basically do the exact same thing. In fact, I think the... I put this backwards because the sensor is... sorry, the one that activates this Y port is generally in this area. Okay, so yeah, we want to do basically the exact same thing, really. So let's use the conveyor again. This will be the rightward, this will be the leftward. The rightward has to start first, so by default this is active. It will... but this sort of has to be linked to this. Like, I suppose then this is what activates this? That would make it a lot easier if this were flipped though. Maybe we should try that. Let's try flipping. and seeing how it works if we flip it. Yeah. So this B sensor, I suppose we'll have to go around, but that really shouldn't be that challenging. So this one is the rightward sensor. It will go right, call it out, and then go left twice. One to cancel out this pointer, and one to cancel out this guy. The left sensor is actually a lot easier. The left sensor just needs to go left and then call, because these two cancel each other out already. So it honestly doesn't have to be doing that much else. Yeah. So these are your two things. Now we gotta actually work on this. We can really start by saying that if this is activated, then this should be activated. Because if this activates... Yeah, so we can just do that first for now. So if this is activated, this should be activated because you are looking for a right or left tester now. The right tester will be activated first. And now is the kind of the challenge that we have to face. Because how in the world are we going to... how in the world are we actually going to, like, connect these things together? I can use a red wire, but you get kind of very confused. Shouldn't be too much of an issue if I tried hard enough. But it's still going to be pretty much quite an issue. That's kind of unless these two are like... Yeah, I suppose if they weren't side by side, but rather left and right, then each of these can correspond with the one right beside it. So like this can sort of exist right beside this. And then they can, you know, this can immediately just connect to this. Hopefully there isn't something wrong with this. I do realize that this doesn't really have potential to link up with a third machine because you just get a lot of wires going horizontally and you can't really pass them very well. You could use a second colored wire, but yeah. So we can sort of basically just do the exact same thing here. And this thing also connects to this in the exact same way, which is why it's the same color. So these two connected this and this in the exact same way. And I'm pretty sure these can just converge. So turning right is going downwards. These can just converge and then call upon you, I think. Why would it? No. The horizontal one has to call upon you, but also has to work on a different sensor. So if this passing activates this and this, it will also activate this. Is that good? I think that's good. No. Yes. Yes. It's good. It's good. I think at the very end you want something that activates the third machine. It's like another B sensor to activate the third machine. All of them have to do it, so it doesn't really matter what value is here. This just looks really small. I feel like I'm missing something very, well, I don't know. I'm missing something here. But let's assume this works so far and just work on the third machine. All the difficulty really comes from the third machine. We kind of know how the third machine works. Yeah, I think the third machine not being parallel with the first and second is what is really gonna make things really wrong here. So the third machine will be linked to the output. The input will be an export because we wanted to bring out something first. We do know it has to switch position to, I think, 1, right? Is it? Or is it down 1? I kind of forgot what I did in save slot 0. It goes right by 1. And then it goes down by 1 because it's the default. And that will produce an output at 15. And it should always do that. So yeah, we can do the exact same thing here. It will start by turning right. And then there must be a turn left here. Yeah. So this will activate a B sensor that triggers this basically forever. This will move right by 1. It'll bounce back and it'll go this way. We can probably deactivate these first because we don't this shouldn't come out until after this sends its first input. Yeah. And then now I can basically build the machine. I think I want this to be I want to give myself some more space. Let's shift this entire machine up by 1. And then this machine will just use this space over here. It shouldn't, again, really shouldn't be that hard. In fact, because we have so much space, I probably should use as much space as I can. Okay, so because this is sort of at the bottom, I want there to be as little crossing as possible. All the directional changes should occur above. So that, yeah. So this by default. Well, what does it do by default? I mean, by default, it should go straight, right? Or not? This will link with this. Shouldn't that be up above? Alright, let's say no. Let's say no for now. Let's say this happens. So it goes here by default. It'll push down 1 and then do its thing. Whatever its thing is. I think its thing is supposed to push down by 1 equal to the value here, 173, and then turn red and then be outputted. Yeah. So by default, it should do that. By default, it should go down 1, turn into that symbol and be outputted. By not default, this should happen, and this should be the exact same as whatever this is. If I feel like we're just building a lot of the exact same machine, it initially goes right, but if it fails, it should go left and do the exact same thing. These should all be activated by the exact same conditions. But as you can see, that might prove to be a little problem. So yeah, let's say those conditions are the exact same. Right, it should also call upon you to start the machine going. So this will... It shouldn't call upon 0. It should activate this Y. Right. And that's why a blue wire should come in. So activate the Y. This will start the test here. And then I suppose we'll just get rid of you for now. I don't actually know. Yeah, okay. So this is how we start linking everything up. So this will test for you. You will go down, do that test. Ooh, we don't want you to go down that early, right? Yeah. Alright. So I guess we can maybe do this. Yeah, let's do that. So this will do this. Actually, hold on. I think this should be one further away. We definitely do need a conveyor here as well to send everything in this direction. Alright. So it goes this way, it sends out this, which does the downward testing. The downward testing proves to be a 0, which will just activate this thing again. And this will, it has to be thrown away as well. We need wiring between this and this, which is why this should probably be in red, so that any blue wiring that comes between these guys can actually... I mean, aren't they already connected through here? Oh, yeah, it just keeps going down. Of course. Actually, why is that the case? Right, because nothing connects to you. You must be activated by this. Oh, okay. That is a problem. I guess blue wire now is helpful. Actually, it can still be activated by red. It's just that this now has to be blue. I mean, it doesn't really matter what color we use. Alright, and then... Yeah, hold on. We still got a lot of problems, but at least the downwards is settled now. So downwards is settled. Downwards is settled. Downwards is settled. Now we need to go rightwards. So this goes... why would you... Yes, correct. This tests what's below. That activates this. What? Right. This thing comes out because the test passes. You go down here. You will test whatever's in front of it. It will output a 0. Ah, this thing is not supposed to be here. It should be thrown away. This guy should be thrown away. And that's where the big problem comes in. What to throw away, what to activate, and what not to activate. This B sensor probably shouldn't be activating this either. Yes, I see. Yes, we want the opposite of this to activate this. Okay, I get it. So, okay. That's why there's so much awkwardness lying around. We want the opposite of this to activate this. And then they all get thrown away, which is why I knew this wouldn't... this would definitely have been made smaller if I could afford to make it smaller. Okay, so let's pull this section down a bit. So now we're working on the connections, really. Each of these have to be connected to something that tests for the opposite, right? Would the test for the opposite affect the red wiring? I think it would. It definitely would. So we gotta be careful of that. So like, this red wiring over here. Oh yeah, this red wiring would definitely fail this initial test. Would it? Oh no, because this tests the opposite. So in fact, there's no point where these two are ever hit by the same wire. I mean, that's okay. But of course, these wirings have to do their own thing as well. So this wiring, for example, I mean, the opposite all affect this, but there's no way... Yeah. Why is there so many upward sensors? So that produces that. Oh, these aren't connected to an output. That's why. To a recycler. So that's why. So this does the downward test. We keep going the downward test here. Wait, why is there a leftward? Because that equals 0 also. Alright, because, okay. This should never affect this. Right? Okay. Does make sense that these should never affect this either. So that's where kind of the issue lies. I think we can maybe fix it a little by just completely ignoring those. So yeah, that does that. Keeps doing that. Okay, now the downward testers. The downward testers will do this. So nothing gets activated from here because this doesn't get activated. So this doesn't come, nothing comes out of you. Now the rightward gets tested. It goes here. It doesn't activate this, but does activate this, which will link to the rightward movement. Yes, okay. And now we keep testing rightwards. Okay. And then, wait, but there's never a test. It always needs to go back to testing you. So, at the end of every output, I think this has to be set back to its original position. Wait, or is it this? Or is it both? I think it might be both. Okay. I can definitely see that. And in fact, could I just put an A sensor here to signal that? Because this coming through here always signals something's gonna be pushed out. And if something's always gonna be pushed out, you're always gonna have the up here be, yeah, so that works in my eyes. I think that would work. So everything works out the same because the A sensor doesn't do anything right now. It's really after the rightward sensor, which is around here. Rightward sensor, something comes out. These are activated to their starting positions, which resets the downward sensor. Wait. This A sensor also activates you. That's not good. Okay, fine. I suppose this has to come after you then. That's absolutely doable. I just need... Well, what do I need? I guess I just need this to be pushed even further out. Yeah, I could do that. That's gonna take up so much space, but I could do that. So this A sensor always comes out after this, because this is also affected. We don't want that to happen. Okay. So let's test for... Let's go here now. So this is the one that does the rightward sensor. Rightward sensor is activated. Rightward sensor comes out. These are reset to the downward sensors. Downward sensor is checked again. Nothing happens. Rightward sensor does its job. This is reset until here. Okay. And now we want to see what happens when a downward sensor passes again. When a downward sensor passes again, which is about here, it will just go back to a regular downward sensor. Okay, good. Now I want to check the bounce. Right. So here, it keeps going rightwards. There will be a continuous rightward sensor at this point. Continuous rightward sensor does its job, which is very good. Okay, wow, this is really slow. Oh yeah, because there's always a downward sensor at every single turn, which is why. Yeah, okay. Now, a leftward sensor is activated because this activates that. Yes, good. Why is nothing coming out of here? Hold on. What? Alright, let's get rid of these breaking points. Breakpoints, we already know that they work. So this comes out. This... Oh, maybe this needs to be activated as well. Ah, I see. That honestly makes a bit of sense. Yeah. Could I fix that problem? Wait, what? Yeah, it's after this, right? This has to activate this again. Yeah, similar to how... Okay. So I guess this does that job. Whoa, that does not do that job. Okay, why not anymore? Ah, because this activates this? Wait, that wouldn't make a difference? What? Well, okay, now we gotta refix this problem. What happened here? So this goes down. A rightward sensor occurs. The rightward sensor reactivates all of these, which is... Wait, why is there a leftward sensor now? Wait, what? Oh, because these two are... Alright, fine. Okay, so I really think that maybe anything connecting to this Y has to be red. Yeah. Has to be blue, I mean. So like, what about this? Does that work? It does work. Yeah, because we kind of want the blues to signify something else. I guess that's also how color coding could work here. So now we bounce back. So after this testing, you get this to work, and then rightward works, and then leftward needs to work now, which it does. No, of course, because what? Right, because this has to happen. I mean, isn't one of the... What? Wait, what? Wait, hold on. So rightward testing works, okay. This will test for right, and then it will test for left. Testing for left shows no difference. Which should activate... What? Oh, should this be an equal 0? Oh yeah, wait. What? This tests for anything on the left. Why are there two left testers? Why are there so many left testers? Wait, no. Oh, an equal 0 shouldn't be testing... Oh, wait. Wait, I feel like this is the opposite of... This is like... The fact this is the opposite does not what I want. You just get a lot of testers in back and forths now. Right. Should this also be an equal 0? Huh. I guess it should also be an equal 0. Yeah, if it sees nothing on its left, it works. Huh, okay. So it's not about the opposite of whatever's in front. It's just about whether it's a 0 or not. Huh. Alright. And then, yeah, the rewriting works, so now it keeps doing that. And now I activate it, it doesn't work here because there's no way to send it back to right? Is that why? So this goes left again. This goes down once. A left test will fail this time. Right. The failing left test... Wait, what? Hold on. Oh, because I didn't connect that to the Y, so now it fails again. Connected to the Y was... What? I don't get the... What? Does this keep sending it left and right? What? Okay, so this does a left test. Left test... Right. Should this also be a not? Huh, I guess it should also be a not. Which means that the one that connects to this would be you. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Why that works in particular. But I can sort of see some vision. I guess it seems to work. Yeah. Okay, what about if I kept going? If I kept going? Oh my god, it works. Hey, that's it. So the idea wasn't to make an alternator. The idea is to have a positive and negative sensor and have them linked to different things. So all three directions need a positive and negative sensor, and whether it's positive or negative, you all get different results. That's really interesting. I really like that idea, that concept. Okay. Cool. And this should just work, right? It does. Takes a lot of cycles, but it does work. There you go. Floodfall. Alright, we could definitely improve a lot of things here. Definitely. Alright. Got a GIF down, GIF, whatever. There you go. That activates the Mem4 emulator. What? And the altitude plotter. This is probably like a really... this is almost the last one, actually. It's the second last level that is in the red section. Cool. Okay, so... I'm gonna try and optimize this. This is clearly unoptimized in terms of a lot of things. Generally space, I can't really optimize cycle. I could probably shorten this a bit, but I want to optimize on space, so let's do that. Let's do that. Alright, so the general idea, well, firstly, you can definitely have all of these merge into the same R and that would still work. This could probably also merge into the same R. This doesn't have to be here, it could just be up here. I want to shift this up a little bit and that should still work. Okay. So... it looks like... these three activate this. And then these three activate this. So my question is, why can't I flip them to make it look nicer? Could I? Of course, everything else has to be different. Like, this, for example, has to be linking to here now. Oh, this is the one that's kind of the issue. This one has to link to this. I mean, it's fine because this one also has to link to this. Ooh, wait, hold on. That is kind of a problem. This can't really link to this very well. Although I guess you can always take this path out. So like, yeah, sure. So you get this kind of thing going on. I think this should still work. Yeah, it does. I'm doing all the wiring correctly so far. Uh... Okay. Right. I can maybe shorten this. I can shift this entire thing up by 1, I'm pretty sure. So let's say I shift this up by 1. Okay, I lost a couple things there, but I could fix a bunch of stuff. So this can go here. This wire can just, you know, what, it can just exist down there. I can fix that later. These can connect immediately. These can connect like this. That is what I wanted. I think this still works. No, something went wrong. Right, because these aren't connected as well. So you have to connect, and that also works, right? My wiring is still correct. Honestly, really, this... if I could save space here, that would be very helpful. I think taking this top part here saves a couple cycles. If I actually like folded this upwards, I think that might also work. So yeah, doing this I think is a little better. It definitely saves on a lot of space. Yeah, it still works, right? It does, okay. Alright, I need to grab the entire machine. Push it down. I feel like there's a lot of empty space that I don't really need. Kinda hard to build around though, but yeah, let's just ignore that for now. I wonder if I can push this entire thing in by 1, but I think I might lose a bit of space there. I don't think it really matters at this point. Alright, next up, I wanna shift this slightly. I wanna shift this entire section up, if that's possible. Okay, so something more like... Let's get rid of you first. Let's do... It is a bit challenging to do. I don't actually know how I would do this. Also, why is this necessary if I can just do this? I don't know. I wonder if I can shift this over by a little bit and maybe save some stuff there. Not necessarily. You know what else I could do? I could just have this link through here. It's the exact same and it doesn't pass through any of the symbols that would be changed by a state. So in fact, I think this also works exactly the same. Yeah. Alright, well that's resolved. Very luckily. Probably don't need this as well. Now this top section I kind of want to get rid of. I don't think I can really do that though. Not really. Also wondering if I could like shift this a little. So like this was up here instead. And then you kind of get this thing to be shifted over by 1. You're gonna get a lot of weird stuff going on, but this is how it should work. This will activate you, which should be activated by you, so you just basically follow the exact same path that the red took. And this should still work the same. It should, and it does. I do like that. This can go up here, that's a lot cleaner. Uses the exact same amount of space as well. Yeah, this is a very nice looking thing. I think I want to do the exact same thing with this guy over here. Just, like this, I think. Yep, alright, there you go. This machine now fits with 1 border of cells around it. Ta-da! I think for like, maybe looks, I can shift this a little bit. The blue wire obviously is kind of broken, but this can happen. This can happen. I think it's still the exact same. Nope. Why? I broke something. Right, because of this. Oh, there you go. That fixes that. I broke more stuff. Okay. Probably shouldn't play around too much. Right, because of this, I also broke this connection. There you go. Hey, I really like this one. This one looks a lot nicer. I don't know if it's a little faster or not, but it could be. There you go. Definitely is smaller, I think. Hooray! This is this is save worthy, and now we can compare the two after one round of optimization. It actually looks kind of nice. Also, it's just 3 machines, and that's exactly how I wanted it to be. So yeah, we can test against you. If we did decrease in cycles, really, how much? How many? That's from 3,139 to 2,947. That's a decent improvement, I would say. Not by much, because like it's over like a great number of test cases. I decreased my number of icons by 2. I think it was just the 2 recyclers that I got rid of at the very beginning. Space I managed to decrease by a whole 20 cells, which is great. Actually, that's a very nice improvement. Does not push me above the percentile, the 50 percentile. In fact, my best is really, really slow. So this is a very, very bad solution in terms of optimization. But hey, I'm just happy I got it done. Cool. Yay, Floodfall simulator. Alright, so yeah, that's gonna be it. Okay, question. If this were here, would that save any cycles? I think the answer is yes. Because it spends a lot more time doing the down... Actually, no, it doesn't. I think it's the exact same. It just looks similar to the machine opposite it, so... Yeah. Alright, there you go. There's your machine. I'm done. Alright, next episode is gonna move on to Deviation Seeker. Yeah. Alright, yeah. I'll move on to Deviation Seeker next episode. Right now, I'm just happy that we're done with Floodfall Simulator in, like... less than half the time taken for Keyfinder. I think it's just because I learned a lot from Inertial Simulator. I didn't really like think about it before building my second iteration, which is why I think I did so much better for that one. So yeah, I think this will be it for this episode. Pretty happy about it. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.